about financial freedom. And I know that's a very personal topic for most people, so I'm glad you're here. Because today our goal is to increase our grasp of managing money God's way. That means it's good, right? After today, all of us should be better able to address our fiscal lifestyle with Scripture included, because that's what we want. We want to manage our money better, but we want to do it through a scriptural lens. So I'm the first of three teachers. So Tim, Bev, then Tim's going to close us out, and I'm sure they're all going to bring you some good stuff. I got to see what they're talking about.
Trish, not Bev. You just called Trish Bev.
Did I? Because Bev's back there. And, yeah. Okay. Trish.
That's our surprise speaker.
Yeah. And Bev's like, no. So, okay. There's going to be a lot of information. I have a ton of information, and so do they. So bear with us. It's a lot. We're going to look at Scripture. We're going to share economic strategies. We're going to talk about our individual approaches and more. I encourage you to stay through the end. I know it's long. I encourage you to stay. And then regarding our personal tips, I just suggest you implement what works for you. Because I may say this is what I do, and you'll think, I don't think so. That won't work for me. That's fine. That's fine. Whatever works for you, it's your choice. So we're just going to try to move all of us towards spiritually sound financial freedom. And that's a difference in just financial freedom, because there are a lot of people in the world that have a solid financial life, but it's not a God-honoring life. Right. So we want both. We want the ultimate combo. We want to be financially sound, but we want to be spiritually sound as well. So I'm going to start laying some scriptural foundation, and the first verse is right there. And it says, in the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all that he has. This is comparing a wise person and an undisciplined person financially. It's talking about how when you plan well, when you have good strategies, life goes better. So in reality, whether it's financial or any other area of your life, if you live recklessly, your life will be a wreck. If you live financially recklessly, your life will be a wreck, but it will in other ways too. So that's just a law of nature, maybe we could call it, just
natural.
Right. So, okay, how we live catches up to us, always. That's the point of this verse right here. So, but having said that, I do want you to know that these classes are not about judgment. I'm not here looking at anybody and thinking, you should do life better, get your act together, because you could look at my life and say the same in other areas, okay? So we're just all work in progress here, right? It's okay. It's okay. And if you're here just for reinforcement, that's awesome too. If you've done a so-so job of managing your finances, today's a good starting point, because God's way forward is always to recognize where you're struggling and change. That's it. It's awesome that God offers that opportunity to us. So we all might feel a little bit challenged today. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about me before we get into this. I was raised in a very frugal home. Maybe some of you were if you're my age, because I think people maybe lived more frugally then. But I secondhand shopped my entire life growing up when nobody did, because my mom raised me to do that. We thrifted before thrifting was cool.
Yeah.
I just didn't bother me at all. We went to secondhand stores. There weren't that many at that time. I never had my hair professionally cut until I left home. And it wasn't that my parents didn't have money, because they did. It's just my family lived very cheaply. So I had the Farrah Fawcett thing a long time, and I would do the clip, clip, clip. But until I left home, I never had my hair cut, and I don't recall my mother ever having her hair cut or colored by anybody. She did it all herself, did her own nails. All of it. We built a house when I was a freshman in high school, put a dishwasher in it, which was pretty cool, and we never once used it, because that would have been a waste of electricity.
Yeah.
So that's how I grew up. And I think it probably caused my love of saving money, because I absolutely love saving money. Dan can attest to that. He's here. It's very common for me to brag about how I save money. I loathe paying full price for anything, and I search for deals. I do like shopping. I'm not going to tell you that I don't, but I like saving money. But this is what I will tell you, because if you're here and you're already thinking, oh my gosh, this sounds really boring, I don't like spreadsheets. I don't like entering data. I don't like balancing checkbooks, but I do it. I like the money saving part of it, but I don't like the work part of it, which is weird because I like details. I like studying things. I just don't like that aspect of it. So you got a friend. If you don't like spreadsheets, you don't like balancing checkbooks, you don't like the work of doing a budget that goes into it, I got you. I understand you, but what I do love is saving money, the result of it. So I've done our finances our whole life, and at one time we had 24 units. We're property owners. We're down to 7, so I have some experience in doing what I don't like doing. So I have some experience, and I'm not a financial advisor, but I do have a lot of experience. So that's why I feel like I can speak into this a little bit. Okay. We're gonna try this. Awesome. Okay. Negative impacts of poor money management. These are all, I did some web searches. The first one is 73% of survey respondents listed money as the #1 factor affecting their stress level. And it's true, because I've had money trouble in my life and it's stressful. It's not fun, and it has an impact. It causes anxiety, it causes depression, and that statistics from the American Psychological Association. It's one of the #1 reasons people seek help, because it affects their mental well-being. The next one, money trouble, is one of the top 3 reasons couples get counseling and also why they divorce. That's a big deal. That's a really sad statistic, but that's a big deal because that's a solvable problem. That's something a couple can fix, but that's how much money trouble impacts a family. And if people could implement some of the tools like we're talking about today, they could fix that problem. It's work. It's definitely work, but it can be done. The next one is diminished credit score and the chance of losing valuable possessions. That came from multiple sources. If you don't pay on your loans, they'll come and they'll take your things. And also your credit score goes down if you don't make regular payments. And that's important because people with the lowest credit scores pay the highest interest rates. They also have trouble getting loans. I know from us personally, we're landlords, and I run background checks on potential tenants. I have the ability to do that. I can look up and I can see if they've declared bankruptcy. I can see if they've been evicted, which is the biggest deal to me. So insurance companies will check your credit score. I don't know if you knew that, they do. Our insurance gal, a lady in Urbana, one day I called her and was talking about our homeowner's insurance, and I would like to reduce it. And she said, well, you've got the lowest you can based on all the parameters you set for us. She said, because you have a good credit score. And I said, you know my credit score? And she said, yeah, we run credit check on people, and then we base your insurance cost on your credit. So this is why your credit score matters for multiple reasons. So it's basically your financial reputation. It's your financial reputation that follows you. Okay, so the next one. The average American household owes $7,951 in credit card debt. That came from Lending Tree. I don't intend on getting very far in the weeds on debt reduction, but this statistic itself I thought we should spend some time on and look at credit card debt and how paying it off early versus making minimum payments, how that affects you. So we're going to look at that right there. So this is, I rounded it up to 8,000. I just took the average amount that people owe, $8,000. The average interest rate is 18% because people can pay as high as in the 20s. Some people, if you have great credit, by the way, you can get credit cards for 8%, 9%. So another impact of your credit score. So if you would make the minimum monthly payment of $240 and you started it now, it would take you 4 years to pay that off. It would cost you an extra $3,211, which would come to $11,211. That's why credit card debt, if you carry it long term and make minimum payments, costs you a lot of money. It's they're going to make their money off of you. If you were to make a $400 monthly payment, you could pay it off in 2 years. So you would shave 2 years off of that loan. It would be 2 years from now in October, and then you would only pay $1,597 in interest, which is better, not great, way better, and your total cost would be $9,597. So I really liked seeing those numbers, because when I have a visual, it makes it more clear to me. And so again, I want to tell you that we have a credit card and we have a balance on it right now. But what we do is we use it when we need to use it. We have properties, we've had a lot of stuff happening lately, and so we've thrown some things on there. But my goal is to pay it off as soon as possible. That's because I don't want to pay that much money for those things. I hate having a balance on there, actually. So, but I'm not going to tell you that I don't have a credit card. In fact, credit cards can be convenient. Yeah. And if you get one and pay it off on time, it helps improve your credit score, because they like to see you have a record. In fact, I saw a clip by Dave Ramsey the other day. He's a cash, you probably heard of him. He's kind of a cash only guy. And if you do a cash only lifestyle your whole life, you won't even have a credit score, because you didn't create any kind of a record to be tracked. So that's something you can do, but most people can't do that. Live cash only because of mortgages and things like that. So we are a consumer driven society, and everything's at our fingertips now. This is why credit cards can be dangerous if we're not careful, because I don't know, do any of you have an Alexa in your house?
Yeah.
I do. I know some people don't like them. It doesn't bother me. I don't know. It just doesn't bother me. But she gives me suggestions all the time. I have notifications. A yellow ring comes up, and I'll say, Alexa, is what my notifications? And she'll say, you looked at this recently, and it's on sale. Would you like me to add it to your cart? Mm-hmm. Alexa wants me to buy things, because Amazon is Amazon. If you don't know, she wants me to buy things. You know, we can have food delivered, and it's just so easy, right? It's just so easy to spend extra money without considering the cost. And I've done that. We were at our daughter's last year helping her tile. Big project. She has a big kitchen. She bought little pieces of tile. We had to go one at a time. And we were there multiple times, actually. And a few times we planned food well, and a few times we didn't. We ordered food, and that was okay, because it's okay at times to do something like that, because in reality she saved thousands of dollars on the cost of the whole project, and we were tired. We ordered food a few times. So
absolutely.
You got to be reasonable, right? But we have to be smart. But restraint determines our financial future. That's what's going to help us from this point forward. And it's hard. We are bombarded, right, with options, and it's so easy. I have Amazon on my phone. I do order a lot from Amazon, but I do it wisely. But I order a lot from there because we have properties. We get stuff for maintenance, things like that. But if Dan will say, hey, so-and-so called and they need some spray for ants, I'll say, let me check Amazon. And so it's so easy.
Well, and it comes so quick.
It comes very quick, yeah. But the ease of that can be dangerous if we're not careful. Okay, so let's look at benefits of good
Cheryl,
money
can
management.
I about 4 years ago, I decided to consolidate my credit cards because I was looking at retiring, and I wanted something manageable. And the company that I went with, I mean, they're rated really high, the whole 9 yards. They told me, their representative told me, now my credit rating was very good at that time. And because I was making extra payments and everything on everything. But anyway, they told me, stop making your payments so they will be willing to settle for less. I'm not thinking about what that did to my credit score. So the only reason I'm saying something is watch for that, because it tanked my credit score.
I imagine so.
And I still am not up to 700.
Yeah.
And I've been making, I don't have any loans, I don't have anything else, but my credit score is not good.
Yeah.
It's in the fair range, high end of the fair range, but it's still not good.
Yeah.
But it was excellent.
Yeah, those missed payments will catch up to you, and you can recover your credit score. It takes a little bit of time, but you can, and it's worth doing for all the reasons we talked about. So the benefits of good money management: less stress and better health. We talked about that already. I read a few articles from medical professionals that talked about the impact that stress has on our health is immense. And so just a good reason to have good credit is just to be healthier. It's good for us to have our financial life in order. Financially stable adult kids. I saw this on several sites, and I wanted to talk about my kids just a minute. We raised them and we modeled good money management, or we tried to the best of our ability. And we've seen evidence. They're all three adults, and we weren't perfect, but we did things like keeping Christmas and birthdays reasonable. We decided that we didn't want that to be just a madness in our house. We wanted to keep, especially with Christmas, the focus on what it's about.
Amen, sister.
Yeah, and then when they turned 16, every single one of them were expected to get a job. And if you didn't do that with your kids, that's fine. I'm telling you what we did. If you want gas in that car, you probably need to get a job to put gas in that car, or that car's going to sit in the driveway. But what that did for our kids is it taught them that if you want something, you have to work. When we did eat out, we made them drink water every time. And we still do that some, except sometimes I like a drink that's not water. I like my iced teas and stuff like that. And then when they turned to adolescence, and this also built character in them, but if they incurred any expenses because of a mistake they made, we would pay for it, and then we would make them pay it back. And I would there's a few times where I had a ledger, you just worked off $50, you just gave me $100, and we would make them pay back whatever it was that they did. And that taught them to do well. And so we're proud of them. They're doing well. My kids aren't perfect, because none of our kids are, but when it comes to money, they're savers, and they're really good with money. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says to train your child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. And that is applicable to your financial life. What you model to your kids, they will do later on. You're teaching them by your behavior. And so, again, we weren't perfect in that, but I think that we instilled some things in them that we're seeing now, and we love watching that. So, another one, this was interesting, we won't talk much about it, but statistics show a decrease in crime and an increase in civic participation when people have their financial life in order. There's something about self-confidence that happens in that case, and we know that in poorer areas, crime is higher, so that's how that works. It's just fascinating. Improved credit score. We talked about that already. You want that. You want that. You want the ability to get a better interest rate, to be able to move into a home you want to, and car, whatever the case may be. Fiscal independence. That means that you will have money for your necessities and your wants, and you'll also be able to give generously. So that's a win when you get your financial house in order, and then the freedom to be generous. And I think these guys might get into more of that, but you get to make a difference. If you have enough money, you get to make a difference. I know Cece shared a while back in church, and it was awesome when you talked about that, just the fact that you started telling God that you wanted to be able to give money away, and he started blessing you guys with that, and that's great. That's fantastic, and it's a blessing to be able to give. All right, God is interested in our finances. There are, if you didn't know, over 2,000 verses about money and possessions in the Bible, which means that it's a topic that God cares about. We can always, anytime you look at a statistic like that, you know. Jesus mentioned money in 11 of his parables. I think he told 38 of them. I should have written that down. That's a lot. That's a lot that he mentioned money. And he's interested in our finances because it's all his. And we're going to look at a verse now and see why it's all his. So again, we talked about how, a little bit ago, how your bank account is private, and it is. Your money is your money to manage. But if we have a sort of like a do not enter sign when it comes to spiritual matters on our money towards God in our financial life, it's wrong thinking, because right thinking is it's all his. Therefore, I'm going to let him speak into that. So here's the verse I want to talk about. It says, "For every beast in the forest is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the hills, and all that moves in the field is mine." And that's Psalms 50, 10, and 11. So you've probably heard this verse here a lot, because it's the verse that people talk about when they have a financial need. It's not incorrect theology to say that my God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, because he does, which means he's got deep pockets, which means he can help his children out. I will continue to go to this scripture if I have a need. but I want to tell you the context of the scripture because it gives us a little bit more understanding. The previous verses are talking about the people's sacrifices, and God says, I don't need your bulls and I don't need your goats because I own them already. I don't have any need of those things from you, but I want them from you. Because they're mine, he goes on to say, I'm never hungry. I'm self-existent. There's nothing I need to survive, but I require them from you anyways because it's a heart matter. I want that from you. So in context, God's saying, I own it all. So what you have is actually mine, and I want you to give a portion of it back to me. Does that give some clarity to those verses? When I read that, I was really struck by that. The why behind parting with our choice possessions in life is revealed in this, verse 14. I'm going to read it to you. I didn't put it up there. This is what God said. Sacrifice thank offerings to God. Fulfill your vows to the Most High and call on me in the day of trouble, and I will deliver you, and you will honor me. I want you to. And by doing that, you're showing obedience. It says you will fulfill your vows to me and you will honor me. And if you do that, I will deliver you. So when we're talking about financial deliverance, God is saying when you do what I ask you to do, I'm going to come in and I'm going to help you. Pretty awesome verses that give some clarity, by the way. And knowing that he owns everything is a good place to start in managing your money because it gives you the right perspective. Knowing that he owns everything means our business is God's business. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this is where we talk about secular world versus the Christian world, because the secular world will say, this is mine, I worked hard for this, and we've all worked hard for our money, but we just ask God to come along and we partner with him in what we do. Yep. Okay. So the aim for us today is to organize our spending better, and now we're going to get into some budget stuff here. God's word instructs us to plan and live within our means. Here's one of those verses that make that clear. Suppose, and this is Jesus talking, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, this person began to build and wasn't able to finish. In 3 sentences, Jesus said, don't be haphazard with your spending, live within your means, and have a plan. In 3 sentences, he said all that to us. And that plan is what we call a budget. Okay. Everyone should have those papers now, I think. You have a monthly cash flow plan and 2 that say quick start budget on the heading. I'm going to talk about both those papers, but we're going to look at that budget together. And it's the one that has numbers on it already. It's 2-sided, and I wrote some numbers in. So it says 3,000, 3,000 on the top. That's the one. And we're going to look. So this is a blank of it. And I will tell you, you'll see on the one I wrote on that I added some categories. This is from Ramsey, by the way, because I didn't think it was complete enough, even though it's a quick start budget, because it didn't have things like internet on there, and everybody has internet. You can't not do a budget and not have internet on there. That's not possible. Same with your phone. Everybody has a phone. So, and then I added retirement in there with savings. That's not on the original one, and you'll see I wrote that in again, and we'll talk about that in a second. So that's the blank of it, and then I'm going to go to, but you have the actual paper, which is probably a little easier to look at there. So we're going to go down and look at this together, and I promise I won't keep you on this budget part too long, because, you know, again, spreadsheets. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. The one filled in is what you want. And under miscellaneous there, they didn't have a section for this either. I kind of thought that could be your gym memberships and things like that. Some extra things that are not on there, because that's a reality in your life too. Although those are things, if you're slashing, you can cut. That's one area that you can definitely look at your life and say, I don't need this gym membership. I can get out and walk. Okay, so we're going to start with the incomes. I am going to assume both these couples make about $50,000, which means they're going to bring home about $3,000 a month. Okay, and that was just for me choosing a number I could work with. That gives them a total of $6,000 a month in income. So Ramsey's got it he starts it with giving, which I'm going to suggest to you all. If you decide to start tithing, that you start with your giving, and here's why. If you take your giving off of the top of your paycheck before you do anything else with it, you won't question where that money's going. It's already gone. It's already spoken for, it's gone. So, because I find, and I'll talk about how I separate my money in a minute, what's in my checkbook is accessible to me. What's been spoken for is not accessible to me. So if you immediately say 10% going to God right away, that's the number in Scripture. If you do that first, then that's it. It's done. Okay. So the next one, so I put $600. The next one is savings and retirement. I did add retirement on there. I did 10% for each of them. This is a number that you could, if you're having a really hard time financially, this is a number you could play with right here. I was reading some stuff on Ramsey's site, and one of his partners is Rachel Cruz, not the same last name as mine, but she talked about this rule 50, 30, 20 down there, and that is how much you put towards living, how much goes towards saving, and how much goes towards wants. I'll talk about that in a minute, but she said that number is not written in stone because everybody's financial life looks different, and it does. If you are in a very serious situation, you maybe can't do those numbers right now, but you gotta eat. You absolutely have to eat. You've got to keep paying the mortgage. So those are some numbers you can play with. Okay, so I put savings and retirement down, would be 10% each is $1,200. Then groceries, and I put them down at $600. And I know groceries are really expensive right now, but I am a couponer, and I don't like to pay full price for things. So I search around for best prices on food, and I came up with that number thinking if this is a family of 4, that's doable, but it's going to require some work on the part of mom and dad, but it's doable. I promise you that it's doable, but you're going to have to shop the sales. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, restaurants, I said $100 a month. That maybe means they're eating out twice, maybe once, depending on where they go.
Or unable.
Yeah, but because their budget's tight, they really can't eat out any more than that. Or if they want to do, but go to Wendy's or McDonald's. Mm-hmm. Dan and I can't get out of there for $30 anymore. Exactly. It's just, everything's expensive. So, but the key to a budget is living within it. Like if they will only spend $100 a month on restaurants, when it's done, it's done. If they spend it the first week, that's their right, that's their money, that's what they determine. If they go out and they spend it, then they're like, okay, until next month, we're not eating out again. Otherwise, we're going to go over budget. So, and I did keep, it's not up there, yeah it is, the plan part and what they spent, that's something you would reconcile every month, and I'm just going to assume that they stayed in budget, because if you don't stay in budget, that would be reflected every month. And over to utilities, I actually looked up some averages and went with those, and so they've got water, electricity, gas, phones, and internet. That comes to $600. That piece of our budget is always big. That is always big, but that's survival
necessity
stuff. Yeah, you gotta do it. You could maybe go without internet, but I don't know if that's possible anymore because you have to get online to do everything. So I think you're kind of stuck, and same with the phone. So I don't think you can avoid any of those fees right there. If you have a well, you might not have a water bill, but other than that, you're going to be paying that stuff. Yeah.
I will also tell you that with your internet, tell them if you're 65 or older, because they do have rates.
Okay.
For
that's good to know.
Us. Yeah, mine went from $50 a month down to $35, and that's all I have is internet because I stream my TV.
Yeah, that's good to know. It's good to know. I didn't know that. That's good.
You can also tell them you were thinking about switching carriers and ask if they have any retention discounts. And I've gotten mine dropped several times from just doing that.
Yeah.
Yes, I that's later in my notes, but I'll tell you, I negotiate with everybody. I call Spectrum up, that's our internet, once a year, and same with our cell phones. If you tell them you're going to leave, they will initially tell you that they don't have a better deal for you, and then they'll start looking up deals for you. You've got a position of power with these places. So
mine's with CTC, and I don't have any problems at the house with that at all.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing too. You can go cheap,
right?
But make sure your service is still good.
Absolutely. And Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Okay, I'll keep moving. All right, so, and then housing, now we're gonna assume that they don't have a $500,000 house.
I was gonna
with
say
the crazy,
that's
because
cheap.
that's low. I know that's low by today's standards. So we're gonna assume that they maybe bought a fixer-upper and that they just stayed within their means, because this comes down to zero at the end of the month. They don't have any extra money. So it's expensive to live. Both these people make $50,000 a year. It's expensive to live in the world today. So $850 for that, and then debt. We already talked about credit cards, but I assume that these guys have not gotten themselves in that position, but they keep a small balance, so $100 a month. Car payments. This is what I want to talk about real quick. The national average car payment is $750 a month. I was surprised by that. Maybe some of you are paying that, I don't know, but we have never bought a new car in our lives. Back to the way we were both raised. So I was stunned because our second house payment was $720, and I was like, that's my house payment years ago. What in the world? But so I just couldn't even bring myself to put $750 on there. I was like, no, that's too much money. So $500. But the reality is some people have car payments. So I put $500 on there, thinking maybe one of their cars is paid off, and one of them bought a car that's 3 years old, which is a way better investment, by the way. Let's just talk about that in a minute because it's later in my notes. When you buy a new car, if you buy a brand new car, when you drive it off the lot, you lose
At least $1,000.
it's a couple $1,000s right away. Within the first year, I watched a video on Ramsey the other day. Within the first year, it's worth a couple $1,000 less. Within 2 years, it's worth like $3,000 less. If you want to buy a new car, that's obviously your choice, but they're very bad investments. If you'll just buy one that's 2 or 3 years older, you'll let someone else take the financial hit on it, and it's going to cost you not $750 a month. It might cost you $400 or $500 a month. So it's just a smart money decision. You can still get a really nice car.
Well, and your insurance is affected by that
Insurance
too.
is affected by it too. Having said that, my father-in-law and my dad we both grew up with very frugal parents. Both of them, when they retired, one of the first things they did is they went out and bought a brand new car because they worked their whole lives for it and they rewarded themselves. Nothing wrong with that. That's what they wanted to do. They bought themselves new cars, but they waited. They waited their whole lives. And again, if that's something you determine works within your money, go for it. But I'm just telling you that it's a really bad investment. Okay? So, and I live with a guy that would never, ever, ever buy a new car. Ever. Trust me.
Well, it's
never.
more fun
So
to get the
I couldn't, if I
ones.
wanted one, I wouldn't get one. So, okay. So, okay. That's it on that one. I'm assuming they don't have any student loans. Insurance. I asked Dan, what's a Honda employee pay now? Because I know you can pay way more than $200 a month for medical insurance. And he said, I think for a family it's about $200. So I put that on there. But I know I have friends that are business owners that pay a couple $1,000s a month.
Well, Medicare's
Insurance can be insane.
$185.
Yeah.
Medicare's $185.
Yeah. So that number again could be way higher, but we'll just assume these guys work at Honda. But if they were paying like my friends are that are paying over $1,000 a month, they're in trouble financially.
Yeah.
I don't even know where else they're going to cut. So okay. Auto insurance I put down at $400. If that was a new car, it would be significantly more. That's for 2 used cars. Term life, very good idea to have life insurance. Your family will appreciate it someday if you have it. I put that down at $50 for them each. I pay $25 a month for my life insurance, so I just said $50. And I'm healthy, so if you have health problems, by the way, because they will check you.
Yeah.
They'll send you to the doctor and run blood tests, and you'll pay more if you're not healthy, if you have any health problems. So that comes to $650. That's just insurance. Isn't life expensive? Fun money, because they don't have a lot extra, I put down as $100. They could throw that towards groceries. That could be for
Or eating out.
birthday gifts. Yeah. It could be for whatever. But that was all that was left in their money. And then transportation and gas I had at $400. That would be $50 a week, and that's them not running a lot. Right?
Amen.
You all know how expensive it is right now. And then we gave them, and if you're looking at this, by the way, you can follow along. We gave them $300 a month for miscellaneous. And again, I said that could be your Amazon Prime. It could be your gym membership. It could be
Get your car
anything.
fixed.
Yeah, getting your
Tire.
car fixed and things like that. And then you could use your savings. It is recommended that you have an emergency fund. About 3 months of your income is what the standard is. And I know, everybody went, yeah. So, and that takes a while to get there if you can get there, but that could be used for things like your washer went out and you tried to DIY fix it and it wasn't happening, because definitely try to fix it first. And I'll tell you a washer story. We have newer washer and dryer, and ours started acting funny. It wouldn't fill up with water, and I don't remember everything that happened to it, but it was a mess. And we finally got on YouTube and looked up, and we learned that there's a hose that comes in that has a filter, and if that filter is corroded, that it will do all the things it was doing. Water would get stuck in it, and then it wouldn't agitate. And so we took that hose off, and sure enough, it was corroded and it worked fine. And we figured we'd save $150 or more on a call that would have been someone just wiping that thing clean, and it would have been fine. But I know some people, and I've done it before in the past, my washer quit working, that's it. I'm gonna go buy a new one because I am not gonna be without a washer. But instead we got on YouTube and figured it out and saved money at the same time. So whenever possible, see if you can figure that thing out yourself. So these guys, it comes out even. It comes down to, if you look at your form here, $6,000, $6,000 at the end. And so that is a balance of 0. And so I gave you a blank one of these, and on the back of it, it tells you how to do your quick start budget. It's pretty self-explanatory. So you can take that home and play with it. It takes a little bit of time to get a budget together. The 50, 30, 20 I want to tell you about before we go on to this other sheet. 50 towards your needs, 50%. This is recommended percentages, okay? It's kind of an industry standard. 50% towards your needs, 30% towards your wants, and 20% towards savings. So it's a good goal, but it's not flawless, because your own personal finances may not allow you to do it that way. But if you can achieve that goal, it'd be really wise to do that. And this budget has to be balanced for it to work. So if you're really into budgets, you're going to do that budget every month and make sure you stay within your, I know, I don't like it either, but that's how you do. And if this will not work, if you absolutely can't make your money work, then there's some things you can address in your life. And one is, do I need to get a second job? Do I need to work some overtime? Where I'm living, am I living above my means? Is my car above my means? And so those are hard things for you to face, but there are times in life where people have to face those things, like to get out of this bind I'm in, what do I have to do? I've done everything I can, now what can I do? Okay, now I'm gonna have to start looking at where I live and a second job, and nobody wants to work in a second job, I know that. But when you get to the end of I've done everything I can, I've exhausted everything, then that's the kind of things you have to start looking at. And I hope that none of you are there. And you can always start asking your father, who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, to help you out, because he will help his children out in time of need. He absolutely will. You hear stories all the time of someone getting a new job and getting a raise and things happening in their lives that are beneficial to them. So this paper here, the one that I told you that I love it and I hate it. When Dan retired a few years ago, our financial advisor sent this home with me, this financial monthly cash flow plan. Am I ahead of myself? Nope, I'm ahead of myself. We'll stay right here. Okay, this is the most informative tool I've ever encountered regarding finances. And the reason I hated it is because it was so much work. And it'll be a lot of work for you too. If you've not done this before, because if you look at this back side here, it's going to require you to start tracking everything you do. And honestly, the only way to know what you're spending is to track everything you do. Otherwise, you're just not being honest with yourself. You won't help yourself out. Knowing what we spend is how we can create a real budget for ourselves. So, because of genetics and poor choices, I'm a lifelong dieter. And if you ever talk to me, I probably talk about that stuff, because it's something I'm always doing at some point in time in my life. But like our budget, our bodies have a daily fund. And when I spend from that daily fund, I start depleting what I started with. So I do Weight Watchers. It's now called WW because I don't think they like that anymore, you know, because it sounds dated. I actually have an app on my phone, and I track everything I eat down to the condiments. And when I do that, I start with they call them points. Some people use macros, some people use calories. It's just their program. I start with a number every day, and throughout the day, I plug in when I eat, and my number gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And I watch it get smaller, and I know at the end of the day, I'm about to run out of my allotment. And if I overspend, I'm going to gain weight. It's that simple. That's how that plan works. It's the same with our budget. And this is why you have to track everything. You have to track your Starbucks. You have to track your McDonald's iced tea. When you start writing this down, if you skip things, you won't give yourself an honest number, and you won't be able to come with a real budget. It'll be a budget that won't be doable for you because you weren't honest with yourself. So when I cheat on my diet, I'm cheating myself. And if you cheat on figuring out your budget, you're going to cheat yourself. So you're just not going to help yourself. You're welcome to do that, but you won't help yourself by doing it. You've got to be completely honest with yourself. And here's what's interesting. When you do that, you're surprised at how much you spend. Just like with calories. It's shocking. When you start writing down everything you spend, you start going, oh my goodness. I didn't know that Starbucks can cost me $50 a month. I didn't know that McDonald's teas cost me $20 a month. Whatever it is that, you know, you spend your money on. I didn't know that this was going to giving me such a financial hit like it is.
And so, couldn't you just use a debit card so that at the end of the month you could see it would show on your checking account I spent on this and this, and that's an easy tracker.
It's a real easy way too. Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, this is real. I suggest you use it. I suggest you do. It's interesting. It's very interesting, but it takes time. And I couldn't do it in a week because we spent money some weeks we didn't spend other weeks. So it took me about a month to get it all down. And because we have properties, mine was a little bit more. That's probably why I was so grumpy about it, because it was a lot. I mean, a lot. And it just made me grumpy. So, all right. Okay. Yeah, don't consider anything inconsequential. I did it again. There we go. All right. I did want to tell you how I implement. Let's go back. Sorry. I want to tell you how I implement our budget. If you follow Dave Ramsey at all, he has an envelope system. It's a little bit dated now because we're kind of cashless. So I have what I named an e-envelope system. And what it is Dan has retirement and we both still work. So we have money streaming from multiple sources goes into our accounts. Once a month, I have set up 11 savings accounts. They're actually escrow accounts that money goes into. And each of those has a name. And I'll tell you a couple of them just to give you an idea. I have one that is vacations and entertainment. I have one that's for pets because I have 3 dogs. And that's
Absolutely
ridiculous, but that's something we choose and we love. I have one for property taxes and insurance. And I have one for Dan's taxes because he works independently and his taxes aren't taken out, and because I don't want to get slammed at tax time, every time a check goes in, I go in and I move 25% over into Dan's taxes, because come tax time, I just want to go raid that account. I don't have to pay it later. Okay, so and then on every check now, money is dispersed. It's like the 10th of the month. And then when I go to do our taxes at the end of the year, I've got money set aside for him. And then what's left in my checking is what I can buy gas and groceries with. And I use that if I meet a friend for lunch, I'll use out of there. But what's not in that account, I can't spend. That's what I like about it. So I move money over. If I take my dog to get shots or I take him to the groomer, I slide money over into the checking and I go pay that bill. And then it's covered. And I didn't take money out of the bulk of the checking. So that's my way of doing the envelope system, because I don't want to carry cash around. And these guys might tell you to pay cash all the time. I don't know what they're going to tell you about that, but I don't want to. I want to use my debit card all the time. I don't carry a lot of cash because I just don't want to. So that's how I manage our money, but that keeps me from overspending in the checking, because as that account gets depleted, just like my Weight Watchers, as that gets depleted and I watch it, I know I'm running out of money. So if I want to make an extra run to the grocery and I see that I'm kind of low on funds, then I'm going to pay attention to that amount and not overspend.
Do you have 11 savings account at the same bank or different?
At the same bank.
Okay.
I had the Honda Federal Credit Union. Most banks will let you have multiple accounts. And again, it's a hassle to set up initially, but once you do, it's there. And Honda even allowed me to name each account, which is really helpful because I can get online or Dan can get online and you can look and it says Dan's taxes and it says whatever. I think I have one that says car repairs because we always have, even though we don't buy new cars, we always have multiple cars because Dan likes to buy and sell cars. And so that's like for car repairs and tags and maintenance. So
You
I
can
know
do
what's
that the reverse too. You can have one savings account and then track a spreadsheet so that balance.
spreadsheet. See?
Yeah.
He likes
See?
Spreadsheets.
Mr. Spreadsheet's going to be up last.
I'm with Cheryl. I hate
Or you can write it on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter. She's tracking it somewhere. But that way,
Yeah.
if you aggregate all your savings in one place, some accounts pay a higher interest rate if you have that
He's
money
right.
in one location.
He's right.
So you can actually make more money by having fewer
Okay.
accounts.
He's absolutely
And
right.
Pat has, you have one account, but they're all subfolders. So you have, like,
You
I
can
have
do
a
it the
money
same way.
market, so I keep it all in the money market, and the subfolders like she has, they're all money market accounts, every single one of them. And they're earning interest, and I only flip to the checking the moment that I'm paying that bill. And even have it set up that it will automatically pull the money from there to the checking, so I get interest up until the very moment that bill needs to be paid.
Okay.
So there you go. Some ideas for you. And their
can
ideas
teach you how to do
probably
that.
work better because
Yeah.
they're earning interest. Actually, I think your savings,
totally.
either one earns interest. Okay, so, all right, we'll go to my tips. You actually have this paper in front of you. I wrote a lot of tips down. I even have more, but we'll try to stick with what I wrote for you guys. I wrote them down because I wasn't sure I'd get to them. So you actually have that in your hand because I wasn't sure if I'd run out of time. So, these are my tips, but I did a little bit of Googling how to save money fast, how to save money quickly. So some of them came from that, but they were already ideas I kind of had. Number one, this is Dave Ramsey's. I know I keep talking about his number one way to save money, stop eating out. That's he says, if anyone asks him, how can I save money right now? He says, stop eating out. And I have heard it my whole adult life that it doesn't cost any more money to eat out. Yes,
Yes, it
does.
does.
Yes, it does. If you tell yourself that, you're not doing the math.
Yeah.
You are not doing the math. Okay? It truly does. And I know because I do the math. Even though I don't like to do the math, I do that. It does cost more money. And here's why. Because you can go buy, I love roasted chickens because I can get a lot of meals. You can buy roasted chicken. You can buy a roast. You can buy a ham. And you get a lot of meals out of that. So roasted chickens have been $6 at Walmart for a while now. They used to be like $8. They're $6. I love that. I buy one probably once a week. Sometimes I go more than once a week. I get quite a few meals out of that. I'll make chicken and noodles. I'll make chicken soup. I'll make shredded chicken. I'll make chicken and rice. I'll make hot chicken sandwiches. I'll make barbecue chicken sandwiches. And the list goes on and on. I can make chicken pot pie. But I can get quite a few meals out of one chicken. And then you just add all the sub ingredients with that, and I'm only paying a few dollars a meal for us, for two. It's only the two of us now. So you truly can save money eating at home. That's the number one way. And I'm not saying never eat out because we do eat out. We just put it in the budget. So number two is eat from your pantry. This is a challenge I give myself because I like to stock up and I buy what's on sale. Every once in a while I say, okay, you're gonna eat everything out of this cabinet and you're gonna eat everything out of this freezer and start over because you can save all kinds of money if you'll start looking at your ingredients. You can do some meal planning. That's one of the top ways to save money too. But if you'll eat from your pantry, you'll be surprised at what you can come up with and kind of not let things expire. You're being a good steward then. Okay, grocery shop the sales. I could teach a whole class on this, but I'm not going to. I'm passionate about this. I got laid off in, was it 2005?
No, I didn't.
8?
2008 or 9.
I worked part-time at Honda. It's when we had a pretty serious recession and they laid everybody off, and I was laid off for about 2 years, and I already was a money saver. And I decided that we could make it financially. Nobody was hiring, but one of the ways I was going to do is I was going to slash our spending even more. And I had 3 kids at the time and a mortgage, and so one of the best ways that I could think of was food. And so that's when I got, if you ever saw this show, Extreme Couponers, that was pretty popular for now. I was sort of like them. I never had an entire room, but I learned to get as much stuff for free as I could. And you can still do that. It's not as easy as it used to be. There's not as many paper coupons, but I have the Kroger app on my phone. I download coupons from the Kroger app on my phone, and I shop Kroger sales. I also go to Aldi, but I promise you, you can spend less at Kroger than you can at Aldi. I promise you, you can. But if you don't want a coupon at all, go to Aldi. That's your best, just go there. Just buy everything you can there, then shop somewhere. If you don't want to mess with it, you're too busy, that doesn't interest you. But Myers is the same. I used to go to Myers too, but I just got tired of running to Springfield. And so, and I gave you on that paper a couple websites. There's actually a couple blogs out there that will tell you what's on sale, what's a good deal, what the coupons are, here's how to maximize your savings. You can let those people do the work for you and tell you what the great deals are. I have used every website I put on there for you. So really nice. The one lady does Myers and Kroger. I think I put Hip to Save and Money Saving Mom. Money Saving Mom's a Christian, Hip to Save is not, but they have fantastic everyday sales. You can follow them on Instagram, Facebook. You can look at their blogs, their websites, and they will set you up with links. If you're interested in Black Friday, they are going to tell you all the best deals, and you can click on their links and run with it. So I like those sites. They're very helpful. You can save money on groceries, and so there's a principle called the buy ahead principle with groceries. If you really want to maximize your food savings, your grocery spending, what you do is if you go to Kroger and they have buy one get one free roasts, you buy two, and you throw them in your freezer. If you have kids and they eat a boatload of cereal, and cereal's what, $5 or $6 a box now? It's ridiculous. If you can get cereal for $2 a box, go buy you 3 boxes. Find a way, add some shelves, and start stocking up and eating from your stockpile. It's called the buy ahead principle. I could talk more about it, but just know that you can start buying things on sale, set them aside, and eat from your stockpile, and you will see savings. It'll start accumulating. It takes a while, and then you once in a while say, okay, I've got to eat all this stuff that I've accumulated, and you can save a lot of money. All right, so grocery shop is sales. Utilize all the rewards programs you can. Join loyalty programs. I know it's a pain. It is a pain. More passwords, more apps on your phone, but you will save money if you will join rewards programs. Everyone's got them. I haven't even done McDonald's yet because I have so many apps on my phone, but the boy that I watch, I'm a provider for a boy with autism. We go to McDonald's probably 3 times a week, and every time I go there they say, do you have the app? And I know you get free fries and free drinks on the app, and I always say no, and I always think, because I don't want one more app on my phone, but I'm there all the time, I should do it. You know, it's just, it adds up. $1 adds up here and there. So this is one on Dave Ramsey's top 10 ways to save money is make your coffee at home.
Amen.
Make your coffee at home. It is outrageously expensive to get coffee at a specialty shop. And I'll do that on occasion. I'll meet a friend for coffee, and I don't like coffee, but I like foo-foo drinks, and I will go get a foo-foo drink occasionally, but it's in my budget. I can afford it because it's in my budget. So I can do that, but I also know that it's ridiculously expensive, and you can make iced coffee at home, by the way. You can buy Italian cream and you can make your own coffee, or you can buy instant coffee, and it's pretty good. You can have yummy drinks at home.
I will tell you too that Costco and Sam's, if you have a Keurig and you use pods, they're less than 50 cents a pod. If you buy the bulk and do them there, because I make all my coffee and my syrup of coffee all at home. But I watch what I pay for the pods too.
Oh yeah. I mean, shop around. We have a Keurig too. We have a regular and a Keurig, and Dan likes his. And again, shop the sales. I got some Starbucks pods at Kroger a few weeks ago. I had a coupon, and they had buy one free, and I got a crazy deal on Starbucks, and I bought some boxes and threw them in the cabinet. Dan got in there yesterday. He said, did you buy this? I said, yes, I did, and I saved money. I like to brag it to him when I save money.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll try to get through these. Don't pay retail price for anything unnecessarily. It may be an occasion where you have to. Everything goes on sale. Everything goes on sale. I have a wish list on Amazon, and Amazon lets me know when the things go on sale. And I don't buy the majority of stuff, but actually books, that's what I have the biggest wish list. I I love to read. I love to read Christian books. I have favorite authors. They're usually Bible study oriented or teaching on a topic. And I have a list of books, and every once in a while Amazon will tell me that this Lisa Turker's book is 50% off today. I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna pull the trigger on that today. And then it's gonna go in the to be read pile, which is pretty big. Okay, so, but yeah, you can get everything on sale. And the next one is shop around for prices. I will open up my phone if we're at Walmart and we see something. I have a story when we were at TSC and one of our dogs needed a cage. I don't even remember why we needed a cage for one of our dogs, and we stopped at TSC and we looked at it, and I said, let me check Amazon first. And I did, and it was $10 cheaper, and I said, we're getting it from, why pay $10 extra for something? Delay your purchases. Think about them. I may be out of order here. Delay your purchases. If you see something you want, you don't have to buy it today. It's not an emergency. We think that sometimes. It's not an emergency. Sleep on it and think about it. The next one is keep what you have or repurpose your things. Just this week, we took our headboard off our bed and we spray painted it black. So it looks like a new headboard. It actually looks really good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It looks really nice. Our son Riley helped us put it back together last night, and I'm so glad because it was solid oak. It's a really nice one, but it was older, spindly one, and we have black nightstands, and it looks like a new bedroom suit, and it's fine. It's fine. No one sees it but us anyways, but it's fine. Here's one, pay your mortgage biweekly. We did that. If your mortgage company will let you, you can reduce a 15-year loan to probably about 13 years, and you can save thousands and thousands of dollars, and it won't cost you any more by paying twice a month. You're just paying twice a month instead of one. Negotiate with your service providers, do it yourself as much as possible. You'll save so much money. Spend within your budget. I'm almost done. Set up auto payments. Set up auto payments, and then you don't have to come up with it. I love that. I love everything automatically coming out because I've paid a lot of bills with having all those properties. Cable and streaming services we talk about. And then the last one, I don't think it made it on there, is live with what you already have. That's a way to save money. Live with what you already have. And I'll end with this quote right here. Or not. There we go. This is from Dave Ramsey, who I know came up a lot today. You must gain control over your money, or the lack of it will forever control you. I thought that pretty much summed up what I wanted to say today. If you don't gain control of it, it's going to control you. And it does, and I've been there. So again, seriously, no judgment for me. I have misspent money plenty of times in my life. I've made poor decisions in other areas too, so we're just here to help you guys. And I'm going to pass this on to Trish.
Awesome. Thank you, Cheryl.